other people sometimes.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to this week's episode. I am joined by Lady Neha Varaz, Lady Lauren McGew, and Lady Laverne Caprice as we embark on a journey of discussing Bridgerton, as we're so tired from walking along the promenade and reflecting upon the ton. Oh, I'm a bit out of breath there saying that.
Who's Lady Neha Varaz?
I know I was going to say, that's not how you say her surname.
Because, right, I was trying to keep the accent up and then it just wouldn't let me pronunciate your beautifully
No, that's cool. I was just like, damn, like Jason Mraz, I'm into it.
Jason.
I was shocked that you said McGill, right? Like
to be fair, I think you've heard worse in your life, haven't you?
God, so bad.
What's the worst pronunciation have you heard?
Of my last name?
Yeah.
People just missing out the V in the Y and just being ass.
Really?
Yeah. Neha
What's
ass.
the word? Neha?
Neha ass.
Neha ass. Neha ass. Interesting. That is great. I hope you correct them. Yeah, we're here. We're going to talk about Bridgerton this week, but we've got a nice little round table. Lauren's joined us again, and Laverne's here for the first time. Hey, Laverne.
Ooh.
Hello.
It's exciting to have you guys here. So, still in a lockdown, still in a pandemic. What have you guys been watching? Let's kick off with you, Neha. Riaz.
Varaz. I've found my step with film because you remember I'd gone off film for a bit. I was only watching old stuff. So it's not new, but I watched Instant Family finally.
Oh,
and I loved
good.
it. Yeah, it just made me feel so warm. So I loved Instant Family. And I also watched One Night in Miami finally.
Oh, gosh.
So good. I knew it was going to be good because everyone had said it was good, but then I watched it and I was like, oh my God, this is so good. So big Regina King,
huge
Regina King supremacy. So it was good. Yeah.
I had the same feeling. I saw it at London Film Festival and I was like, this will be good because, it's Regina King. And then you watch it and you're like, no, this is good. This is really good. I think it's the first film that I've watched and I thought everyone deserves best actor because all four of the leads are so good. They're just absolutely brilliant. So yeah, it'd be interesting. I think for the Golden Globes, I think only one of them got a nomination. I think it might have just been Leslie Odom Jr. I think it's Leslie Odom Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Because he plays Sam Cooke, doesn't he? Which I was shocked at because it's for me, that's not a supporting role. I feel like it's four leads. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's four really different.
Good. Yeah, no, it's a good one. It's a good one. Oh, I'm glad you're getting back into film. It's nice to have a little bit of a resurgence sometimes, isn't it? Just take a step back. You've got more to catch up on. It's nice.
No, I'm excited.
Lauren, what have you been watching? I think last time we spoke, you said you were binge watching The Best Leftovers Ever.
Yeah. I was watching that. I've actually stopped watching that. There's still loads left. I don't know what happened. Then, well, obviously, we're not talking about this right now, but WandaVision. But we'll not talk about this, but WandaVision.
Can I just say, in your accent, it sounds like you're saying one division.
WandaVision.
Yeah, one division.
One division.
How do you say it?
We probably say it the same way, but it just sounds like one division.
WandaVision. It's sort of like long division, but WandaVision.
WandaVision.
Well, yeah, that. And I've started rewatching Parks and Recreation again.
Yes, because it's on Netflix.
Yeah. But it's when Parks was on TV, I watched it every week. It was a weekly watch. And now watching it, it's still brilliant. But now it's Chris Pratt and Aziz Ansari.
Yes.
Yeah, it is what it is. But I just love Aubrey Plaza and Amy Poehler and Rashida Jones too much to not watch it again because it's still so good. And it has such a place in my heart. But Jesus Christ. Yeah,
I was actually thinking about this the other day because I used to love Chris Pratt. Particularly from Parks and Rec. And when he started becoming, and I actually was scrolling down my Instagram and there's a picture of me standing next to a poster of Chris Pratt and I'm like, oh my God, Chris Pratt. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing now. But I was so supportive of him when he became more Hollywood. And then it definitely has been a slippery slope down. And I think it kind of kicked off when he got divorced from Anna Faris. That's when I was kind of like, what? You divorced Anna Faris?
Yeah. Kind of insufferable now.
That's literally it. They I don't know if you guys saw, but they released some on-set pictures of Thor 3. Is it Thor 3? No, it's Thor 4,
no,
isn't
Thor,
it?
4, yeah.
4.
I bet 2 doesn't count.
I like that. And there's pictures of Chris Hemsworth looking amazing. And then Chris Pratt's there and I'm like, oh God, he's in that too. Have they merged it together? Is it Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, because that's how it ended off in the last film.
Yeah.
You're right.
off to do on the next adventure. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, well, that's a shame.
Well, yeah. Because Thor, like for me, Thor was, apart from Spider-Man, well, until they started making, women in them. But before that, it was like, I loved Thor and I loved Spider-Man. But Guardians of the Galaxy was like the first one was good. The second one was pretty useless.
Not happening, wasn't it? There's a lot going on in it.
Yeah, but then didn't they just come out and say that Star-Lord's pansexual?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
They did.
That's where the controversy started, wasn't it?
Yes.
So I know this happened months ago, probably, but it's interesting.
What is time?
I mean, look, WandaVision.
No, it's definitely an one. I'm excited to see. I will say we're going to do our next episode is on WandaVision, and I will say it's definitely like rewoken the Avengers fan within me, because I feel like after Endgame I was like, okay, well, it's kind of over now. It was traumatic, blah blah, and you had Spider-Man, and it kind of died a little bit of a death, and now I feel like this has really been like, oh no, this is great again. So yeah, I'm excited for the episode next week. So just tune in for next week. Cheeky little plug there, guys.
Wait, next week?
Lauren, this episode.
Oh crap! This is like Graham Norton. This is like, oh, sorry.
Yes. This is like Graham Norton. I love that.
Exactly, Graham Norton.
It's a Friday evening at 6 p.m. 11:15. It's too late. Nobody can stay up that late, Graham. What are you doing?
I know.
Advertising Britbox. You're from Cork.
Wouldn't be an episode with the Lauren without a little bit of Irish discourse, would it? Absolutely.
It's true though. He's from Cork. Why are you the voice of Britbox? Explain.
You can contact us at info@rianpictures.com. Laverne, what have you been watching recently?
So this morning I watched Malcolm and Marie.
Let us know what you think of this, because there's a lot of discourse on this.
Did that just come out today?
It came out yesterday.
Oh, okay.
But I wanted to stay up, but then I fell asleep, so I watched it this morning. I'm still deciding. It was kind of just like one long conversation.
I've heard this.
For an entire film. And I think visually it looked amazing. I liked the simple background. I liked the black and white. I think it was like 3.5 mm. Like it was really artistic, like the way in which it was filmed. But the actual context, I don't think it was for me. You have the one issue that is like spoken about in the first 5 minutes, and then it's just a development of that. But it's one long argument, guys. That's all. The entire film is long argument. Oh, I'm not too sure, but yeah, you are checking your watch a bit as well. All I would say is that the entire film is one long argument. But Zendaya is a force to be reckoned with. She's going to be one of those people that we talk about when we're old. Like, I remember when she first started, and then she made this transition into more adult films. Like,
I really need to watch Euphoria. Like,
she's phenomenal. You wouldn't even think she's a Disney kid.
Yeah.
Shed that skin. She was fantastic.
She's probably the only one to have done it in such a successful manner. Because, I'm trying to think, she was on Shake It Off, wasn't she? And then she did a Casey undercover show. And then it seemed that she kind of moved from that to The Greatest Showman really seamlessly. Yeah. And obviously has done Euphoria and Spider-Man. And now she's doing, things like this, which is very much like, highly acclaimed and award buzzes all around.
I didn't even know she was on Disney until there now.
Yeah, she actually, Shake It Off was her and Bella Thorne.
Yeah. I think
what a combo.
Her transition was not for the shock factor, because if you remember, Spring Breakers was that was to make everyone.
We talked about this last time.
Yeah, like everyone goes, "Oh my gosh, they're in bikinis." Well, like, do you know what I mean? She didn't do that. She actually chose things that she was interested in, and
was great in.
Yeah, so it had adult themes. It just happened to have adult themes rather than let's just do something that makes everyone go, they're growing up. Like it was,
Spring Breakers was so bad it made me think Selena Gomez was a good actress.
Amy, I'm sorry. Amy has been my friend for 12 years and she listens to the podcast, and every now and then she'll text me saying, I've heard the latest episode and I'm not happy with the Selena Gomez content.
Okay, Amy, if you're listening, I enjoy her music. I think she has some
and
great
you're the
songs.
only one. Sorry.
No, but she has some great, is she a great singer? No, am I? No, so I'm not judging, but I'm saying she has some great songs. However, acting wise, Spring Breakers was a shambles, but she was very good at it. I will give her that. But then also my hatred of Vanessa Hudgens really like made me really like Selena Gomez, and also Ashley Benson. What was that? Anyway.
But it's interesting with Malcolm and Marie because obviously it's directed by Sam Levinson, who did Euphoria, and he did Assassination Nation. Again, like Lauren, I really need to watch Euphoria. But I did like Assassination Nation. But a lot of people obviously have criticised it because he is a white man and he's made this film with these two brilliant Black actors, and people are kind of questioning, like, have you done this for clout? Have you done this because you're generally interested in the dynamics of this? But there was a comment someone made, because this was made during the pandemic, and I think someone said something like, Zendaya, you know, she did her own hair and makeup, and I'm like, I think Black actresses have been doing that for a long time, and it's usually because they can't be asked to hire someone who actually knows how to do it. So I wouldn't use that as like a
there was a really great Twitter thread on this like last week, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Well, when you were listening to this 6 weeks ago, all about like High School Musical and all, Monique Coleman saying that they gave her a hairband because they just didn't know what to do with the front of her hair.
Yes.
And Riverdale actresses as well.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I am going to watch it, but it does look like a slow burn couple having an argument. Also, and I can just stay at home for that.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you've seen the discourse around Barry Jenkins. I don't know if you've seen
Tell me about this, because I saw he got mentioned. Like, what's the situation? Like,
has he done something?
I can just see the panic in Neha's face as like the biggest Barry Jenkins fan.
I don't want to call him Denzel Washington's son. What's his name?
John David.
I don't want to be that person. John David, Washington's character, is he's made a film, and so they're waiting for the critics to talk about it. So it's premiered that night. He's waiting for the critics, and so he says a line. I don't want to ruin it, but he's like, "Would Moonlight be as good if Barry Jenkins was gay?" But then Barry Jenkins is then spoken about like another 2 times, and people are saying Sam Levinson is basically just putting pen to paper of his thoughts on like everyone was actually like, Barry Jenkins is going to be like, keep your name out of my mouth, because it was so he was mentioned, I'm not kidding, like 2 or 3 times just randomly. And I'm like, if you want to just send hate mail, just send hate mail. Like,
shots fired. It's like film Twitter's gone into like actual filmmaking now.
Yeah.
I, on this alone, don't think I'll ever vibe with Sam Levinson. I mean, I've not seen anything he's made, and I'm like, I'll keep an open mind. But shots fired at Barry.
It's so strange.
Yeah.
Is Sam Levinson an actor?
No, he's a filmmaker. He's he kind of got acclaim when he made Assassination Nation, and he then did Euphoria, but he's not done anything like this. There's probably fans listen to this like, you leave him alone, but I only know of him because of Assassination Nation, and that kind of like was only popular because it was so mixed and like the reviews were so mixed.
Yeah. And
then obviously Euphoria's done amazing, but that's based on like a series, like an Israeli series. Like, it's not like original content. It's like, it's not a remake per se, but it's based on something else.
Sorry, I've just realized why I thought Sam Levinson was an actor. I thought he was Sam Levine.
Sam Levine.
Sam Levine, Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, no, that's not him.
Now on to white men that look the same. Bridgerton.
Oh my goodness.
Good. So, excuse me, I've not said what I've been watching lately. How dare you try and ask me of my own podcast?
You know what? Whenever you find a segue like that, you got to run with it. Anyway, sorry, Karis, what have you been watching this week?
Well, to be fair, I have been watching what you guys have been watching, but I did watch the trial of the Chicago 7 last night because I'm trying to catch up with everything I missed last year, even though last year it was perfect time to catch up on stuff. I will say I did enjoy it. I thought it was quite interesting. It was pretty much an ingredients list though of like how to make an Oscar film, you know, like a really intense court scene, and then, you know, at the end that music and things like that. The accents. Now, the Boston accent is quite an art, as we've all, you know, witnessed in film before. And Sacha Baron Cohen
is he from? I haven't seen it. Is he from Boston?
He tries to talk like this, and then the cops, and then, you know, and then Boston, and then actually I'm actually Australian right now, mate, and then I'm actually down in East London. It's just a big fat mess.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's been nominated for a Golden Globe, so good to him.
I mean, who hasn't been nominated for a Golden Globe this time around?
I'll tell you who, Michaela Cole, but let's not go on to that.
Valid point.
Yeah,
sorry, there you go. Sorry, you're correct. But everyone who shouldn't have, or like did hardly anything, is like, here
Here's an award for trying. I found it quite interesting, but I've probably forgotten about it now, to be quite honest. That's all it is, to be fair. But Eddie Redmayne's in it, and he has an accent as well. I just watched it for the accents. It's quite comical. But Eddie Redmayne's character actually marries Jane Fonda, the real life version of him. So I was like, Jane Fonda would not marry Eddie Redmayne.
Not like in the film.
So the character that Eddie Redmayne plays in real life, he married Jane Fonda.
Oh.
I know, which is why I was like, Jane Fonda would not marry Eddie Redmayne.
I can't look at Eddie Redmayne again properly ever since Les Mis, because his vibrato was so lip-based. And it's just like, my friend. Like, it's just so weird. And that's all I see when I look at him now.
Have you seen that TikTok of the girl who does mouth acting?
Oh, yeah. No? She's fantastic.
Brilliant. It's so absolutely good. Brilliant. I'd recommend it to anyone.
For somebody who spends constant time on the internet, I've really missed a lot of things on the internet.
But yeah, that's what I've been watching. And obviously One Division, which we will come to you with.
It sounds like you're saying One Division too, so you can shut up.
Bad marketing. So let's talk about Bridgerton, which is pretty much taking everyone by storm, really. When I first saw this advertised, I will admit I did think, I'm not going to watch that. It looks like a pile of rubbish.
Same.
The only thing that drew me to it was
Neha's tweets about it. Me too.
Secretly working for Netflix. No, it was Yadol from Derry Girls. That's the only reason why I was invested in.
That's the second reason. Yeah, that's the second reason.
Yeah. But then everyone started talking about it, and I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a go. And away I went. First couple of episodes, quite, skeptical, thinking, this is very la-di-da. And then I don't know what happened, but I just got hooked. Absolutely hook, like, and sinker. It was crazy. And you guys all I wouldn't say watched it, enjoyed it. You all watched it. Are you surprised by the hype as well? Because it is a period drama. Like, this isn't usually the blueprint.
Shonda Rhimes.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised.
I started to watch it, and then I wanted to watch it alongside the Twitter discourse. It was one of those things. It reminds me of Bird Box, when you want to watch something because everybody's talking about it and you want to follow along as the tweets are following along.
Yes.
And because it's not really a type of thing that you can spoil. Like, I wasn't that invested that, like, for example, I have to wake up at the crack of Christ to watch One Division before.
Oh my God,
everyone ruins it.
I forgot it was on until Neha tweeted. Basically, I am just informed by everything via Neha's Twitter.
It was like fun to watch along with everyone. I personally, I'm not 100% sure I would have, off my own back, said, let me watch this if it wasn't for everybody loving it.
That just shows like the power of social media now and online streaming, that you never had that before. Like, you used to have to watch shows because you were either told word of mouth that it was good, or, the TV told you so. I mean, 63 million households tuned into Bridgerton, and it's the 5th most popular original ever, which is very high, very, very high.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the premise. So obviously we have this very prestigious ton, as they call it, that essentially their lives revolve around marrying each other off to relevant rich people. And all they do is walk around. Let's just be bloody honest.
Promenades.
Promenades. I'm definitely going to say that now when I go walking with Cara, like, I'm promenading for a husband. Fingers crossed. But yes, we have these kind of family settings. There's 2 main families. We have the Bridgertons and we have the Featheringtons. Have I said that correctly? Yeah. Mm-hmm. The Featheringtons kind of give me Cinderella's ugly stepsisters vibes, which is very mean because they're actually quite nice looking girls, bless them. Very garish outfits. They're not the skinniest. They're not the prettiest, but they are high class. And then you have the Bridgertons, who are just your average white family who has a lot of money and didn't stop shagging. They've got like 7 kids of them. And we've got Daphne Bridgerton. Tell me your thoughts on Daphne Bridgerton as a character. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say, because is she the star of the show? Let me know what you think. Let her go for it.
I thought she was really bland. Like, for someone who's leading this huge show, she didn't do very much for me. And I don't know whether it's just because everyone else was more interesting. I feel like had they not spent so much time, which is a good thing, developing all those like other characters, and she would have been the only focus, maybe I would have been more interested in her, but I really just didn't care.
Yeah, I would die for Eloise.
Good point. It did feel very manic pixie dream girl. this whole like, she's so beautiful because she doesn't know she's beautiful. And she knew she was beautiful. Let's be frigging honest about it. So obviously we have Daphne. She's kind of given the say so by the Queen that she's the, what do they call it? The diamond of the season or something like that. So she's like the most eligible woman. And then you have these disgusting men that start, what do they call it? Male suitors or visitors?
Suitor, I'd say.
Suitors, that's it. Hey, Mama, there's suitors at the door. Like, if someone ever said that to me, I'd be like, get the bloody shotgun, get the baseball bats, get them.
It's like, I don't want any suits, go away.
Go away. But yeah, no, lass. So it kind of follows, you know, Daphne, you know, becoming into this world. I don't know, it just kind of like that element of it bored me, to be honest. Or is this just going to be about like, you know, like women being married off? And it did kind of make me think at some points, do you know what, I wouldn't mind that. It would just take a lot of the struggle out of the game just to get married off to someone, not have a choice and just have to get on with it. You know what I'm saying? But it did speak a lot, I will say, about the whole element of marriage. Like I know, for example, Lady Featherington says at one point, you know, you have children and that's who you love. And then you find, she says something like, you find other things to do and other things to love, which was really sad in a way. But I think a lot of people do still do that now when they're kind of stuck in relationships or, you know, stuck not being able to find a partner. But then we're introduced to the Duke of Hastings, who, again, I'm going to say, I did not get blown away by how handsome he was. I just don't get it. How do you guys feel about this? I know it's going to be torn. Go for it. Go for it. Go off.
He's fit.
I think when I was watching it, I wasn't like, oh, I'm so besotted by him. But then when I saw the online discourse, I was like, oh, am I not seeing like what everyone else is seeing? Like I was a bit confused. But I tell you who was my love. It was his boxer friend.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
Also, was boxing like a thing that happened in the 1900s actually? Like,
absolutely. And you know what? That character is actually,
like,
it's based on a real person.
Yeah.
So it was based on a famous 19th century black boxer who was called Bill Richmond. So he was born a slave in America and he rose to become the first black sporting star. But you wouldn't know that because he's a side character.
Yeah.
You could have had more.
And still, a side character who is still more interesting than Daphne.
Yeah.
I love that he was a family man though. Oh my, he could have slipped in mud and I would have been like, did you see that time when he...
Yeah.
So gracefully slipped. I know what you mean. Like with the Duke, I was like, I mean, he's an attractive man, but like, there was just a lot of stuff. I was like, I get it. Like you had a hard childhood. I get it. But also there's just so much like non-communication that would have made this so much easier from the get-go. And it just was wild. It got to the point where initially when you saw his backstory and all, I felt so bad for him. And I was like, God love him. And then I was just like, right, will you just say something like this is actually just stupid now. Like it's gotten to the point, it's past the point of stupid. And that really frustrated me. I mean, for me, I really just loved like, you know, the side stories as well. It was like a similar thing. It was like, right, I get it. And I know that like a lot of people are going to watch this and be like, oh, it's like Twilight that they're forbidden and like they shouldn't be because he can't have. And it was just like, nah, but like Eloise and Penelope, I just love Nicola Coughlan. Like, let's be real here. I'm just like.
I really liked Eloise, but I felt that she had to represent a whole side of opinions. Yeah. And I feel like that's quite a lot to carry on one character's shoulders. Yeah. So she was like the feminist, I will speak out. I won't, you know, I'm not, my whole purpose is not to get married. And I love that. I absolutely love that. But it was every single sentence in which she was saying she had to represent that. Yeah. Because you had to have that perspective, but it was a bit much to have it just on that one character. So I felt a bit like, oh, I get it. Like I knew what she's going to say before she said it almost every single time. But also
it's like, if you're 16, chances are, right, you've been smoking maybe 2 years. Where's that voice come from? You're 32.
Oh, right. Yeah. You could definitely tell that there was a weird casting choice.
Where are you, Penelope?
She heavy husky voice. It's very true, actually.
It's a great, like, I loved her voice. Don't get me, I loved her voice, but yeah, she didn't strike me as a 15, 16-year-old.
No, absolutely not. I mean, age-wise, it's like when you watch Game of Thrones, part of you just doesn't want to know for the sake of your mind.
I never watched it, and I never will.
So let's just go back to the Duke. So obviously the Duke is pretty much our lead protagonist for the male side. And like you said, they touch on this kind of background of him. You know, he's kind of rebelling against his father. He doesn't want to carry on the family name. But I will say it did come across as very narcissistic near the end. I mean, there's one point when Daphne says to him, "You would rather die than marry me." And literally he was like, yeah. And I just thought, really?
I know.
Is life not that precious to you, you privileged piece of shit? And the daddy issues, it just got too much. And like you said, Lauren, like the lack of communication, maybe it's because it's obviously it's a Shonda Rhimes show, so it's full of the drama, as we've seen in Grey's Anatomy. But it just become very frustrating in the end. And I just did not like him. I did not like him.
I think like the lack of communication, I think, was them touching on period dramas generally, because like, you know, it's always like yearning, no one really, like everything is repressed until the very end. So I think that's what they were trying to do. It just got too much.
The first period drama I've ever watched.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
I know.
One of mine. I do not watch period dramas.
Yeah, it's not a thing that I subscribe to.
Pride and Prejudice.
No, I've never seen it.
You've never seen Pride and Prejudice?
Is that the one with Colin Firth?
Oh, there's so many.
There is that one.
Michael McFadden. Is it Michael McFadden?
It's like, we get it. Keira Knightley wears a corset. We get it.
No, but you don't understand, right?
So
because
good.
I felt this way, Lauren, and then one day I watched it and there's that scene where he says, "I love you most ardently." Absolutely broke apart, fell apart.
And I'd be like, meanwhile, me Googling what ardently means. Like,
I need Spark Notes up.
I know, exactly. But yeah, I mean, he is essentially the most eligible bachelor, and he's got that very, you know, essence to him where he's a bit of a bad boy. You know, he's probably slept around, he's traveled and all this kind of stuff. But let's talk about the fact that he is a black duke in England. And then we want to talk about race here because it's not heavily mentioned within the show. And I don't know if you saw, but after the last episode, Netflix, for me, it automatically played this really cheesy show called Behind the Scenes with David Spade.
Oh no, I didn't get that.
It was this strange kind of, Netflix kind of do this thing sometimes where they talk about the show and they have the actors on, but they played this show and they said, oh yeah, it's really great because they don't mention race in the show. But they do have a conversation about it. And it is, to be honest, it's so small that, you know, it's probably easily to be forgotten about. Now, obviously, for myself and Lauren, we don't struggle with seeing ourselves on the screen. So when it comes to Bridgerton, we don't really think, oh, wow, there's actually representation here. So when we have black characters in here and we have Marina Thompson, we have the Queen Charlotte, and we have the Duke of Hastings, and obviously the black boxer, as we don't know his name because they never said it enough, to be quite honest. So they've called it colourblind casting, but there is a moment where, is it Lady Danbury? She says to the Duke, the king married one of us. I'm very much paraphrasing here, I do apologise. The king married one of us and that changed things forever. Which seems like a massive event in this kind of world of storytelling that we just only hear about very slightly. And as much as I'm sure they didn't want to make the show about race, it would have been good to have a little bit more poetic justice within there to kind of tell us what actually happened, like why isn't. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes that kind of feels like they're just disregarding it, considering it was a massive point in history. But I mean, it's made headlines for inclusive casting and the books did not include it at all. And obviously Shonda Rhimes, she made the decision to have a diverse cast, you know, and she said she wanted it to be more colourful than people thought it would be. And, you know, maybe it will be more accessible to people and exciting to people. How do you guys feel about that? Because I'm not too sure if I'm happy about them not mentioning it at all and just throwing it in there and expecting us to get on with it. I don't know. Because obviously in period dramas, we haven't seen this before, ever.
I think I'm half and half. I'm glad that they didn't mention it because it wasn't really a big deal. And I feel like it just goes to show you can have, you know, a show that is set in the olden times when, you know, you're just watching it and it's not really a big deal. I mean, after the initial introduction to the characters, I didn't really care. And it was like, it just goes to show you don't need just white people in these white period dramas. I mean, we didn't just turn up one day. We were obviously there. So it was nice to just sort of see that and it not be mentioned as much. But also at the same time, I would say that it was good that it was there because I can probably count on my hand the amount of my personal friends who've probably watched Pride and Prejudice and, you know, old period dramas. But we all watched this and we were all like, oh, okay, like it was so refreshing to see. Like, it was great to see.